Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre a la app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Yes, they'll take care of all your insurance needs, and not only that, they will do a great job of saving you money wherever they can. All at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We're going to deviate from the draft for a moment because one of Pennsylvania's own made the Hall of Fame. That is Smarty Jones. We are joined by my basketball broadcast partner, the best in the business, and also the best in the horse racing business, Dick Jerardi. Dick, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Steve, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Took a long time for a horse that won the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and missed by a nose of the Triple Crown. Why, Dick, so long before Smarty Jones was recognized?
It's an interesting question, Steve. I don't know what the parameters always have been for the Hall of Fame, but in recent years they've had a committee of 15 people that get together once a year, usually around February, and decide who the finalists are each year. And then there's a voting panel of 170 that votes on the finalists, like who will actually get inducted. And Smarty Jones, until this year, had never gotten outside of the first 15-person committee. He'd never gotten enough votes. I think it was 10 you needed to get out of the committee to get on the final ballot, and he had just never gotten there. Interestingly enough, on my way up to the Northwestern game this year on January 2nd, I got a call from Brian Bouye at the Hall of Fame, who said, "Would you like to join the panel this year?" I said, "Yes, I would." It's probably not a coincidence that in my first year on the panel, Smarty Jones was able to get out of the committee and get on to the final ballot where a larger cross-section of voters could decide. Now, I had to convince some of my fellow panel members. I don't know what the vote was prior, Steve. I don't know how many he got. Frankly, he needed 10. I just don't know that. Anything to ask was kind of irrelevant. What I did was send out about 10 bullet points by email to all the panelists before we had our call in February and just said, look, here's why I think he deserves consideration to be a finalist. And anyway, we got enough votes this year, including mine, to get him onto the broader ballot, and the results were announced officially yesterday. It's actually 16 horses, trainers, and jockey on the list of finalists, and only one, Smarty Jones, the required number of votes, which was 50% one of the return ballots. There was 150 ballots returned, so you needed to do the math, you needed whatever the 79 or whatever that number is to get in. None of the other trainers, horses, many of them are very accomplished. Mm-hmm. I voted for like seven or eight on the list of 16. But yeah, Smarty Jones is the only one. So of the contemporary finalists, again, of 16, meaning the last 25 years, he's the only one that will get in. There's some old-time trainers, some old-time horses that most people wouldn't have even heard of, some of them I hadn't heard of. They're getting in like a kind of a veterans committee deal from 1900 to 1999. But yes, I always thought if he ever got into a broader cross-section of people that he'd probably get in, but that's why it took so long.
You mentioned you put together 10 bullet points. What were a couple of the key bullet points that you wanted to emphasize to others on this 15-person committee to get him onto the greater ballot?
First, undefeated Kentucky winner since Seattle Slew in 1977.
Yep.
Biggest margin in the history of the Preakness, which we beat 11.5 lengths, which will be run for the 150th time next month. He had a 4-race series of Beyer speed figures, the Rebel State, the Arkansas Derby, the Kentucky Derby, and the Preakness, which were the fastest by any 3-year-old in that period in the 21st century. No other horse had a series like that at all. And in the Belmont, where he finished second, I pointed out, most of the panel members already knew this, but I pointed out that it was in-race circumstance that got to be not necessarily Birdstone, who ended up winning the race.
Right.
What happened was he was targeted by a couple of other jockeys, and they basically surrounded him. And horses have a tendency, when they get surrounded, to want to get away from the other horses. So they made him run too fast too soon, sacrificed their own horses, who finished way, way back. So he got similar to what happened to American Pharaoh in the Travers of 2015.
Yeah.
After he'd won the Triple Crown, the horse went out and they got beat by an inferior horse. Same thing happened to Smarty Jones. So, in my opinion, he finished second, but he ran a winning race. It was just again, circumstance got him beat. And then, unfortunately, he got hurt after that, and he could never run again. So he could never just show his true greatness, and I explained to them that I had actually been at the track, watched them try to train him after the Belmont. He just couldn't even get to a gallop. And also, I pointed out that all the horses he beat in 2004, many horses, they turned the following year, they won the group, and there was a whole bunch of them that finished behind him all year in 2004, won like 12 grade 1 or grade 2 races combined. So he was beating really good competition. And again, I wasn't sure if they were aware of all that context. And maybe some of the members weren't. And that's, again, I don't know how many were voting for him before I got on, but we got enough votes this time.
Right. It's interesting because we hear a lot, and you and I went to Santa Anita, so a lot of California-bred horses. And California-bred horses will do well usually in the Triple Crown. Kentucky-bred horses will do well in the Triple Crown. Anything about the fact that he was a Pennsylvania-bred horse?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, people have brought that up, that maybe people are not looking at him the same way. It's interesting. I wasn't sure this, Steve, until I looked it up a week or so ago. He's only the 4th Pennsylvania-bred horse ever to go into the Racing Hall. One of them was from the 1870s, a horse called Parole, who ran in these like 5-mile races. Another was a horse called Flatterer, who was a steeplechase horse, who was the best in the country for 4 straight years. And then more recently, the great filly Gopher Wand, who ran in 1989 and 1990. And Smarty Jones will be the 4th. So, yeah, I think that is part of it. Look, this is a Kentucky sport. The vast majority of all the best horses, and I do mean the vast majority, are bred in Kentucky.
Sure.
They might race in California or in New York, but they're almost all, I don't want to say always, but most always bred in Kentucky. I hope that isn't one of the reasons that he wasn't getting votes. It'd be kind of silly. And one of the complaints was, it's a legitimate complaint, that he only raced 9 times. I get it. It's perfectly understandable. But he was hurt. It wasn't like they didn't want to run him anymore. He just couldn't run anymore. You're not going to run a horse when he's hurt. And I thought because Justify won the Triple Crown in 2018, he never ran after the Belmont. Right. He ran 6 times. Right. He was voted into the Hall of Fame last year.
Yeah.
There's Philly Rat Riches, who won the Belmont Stakes in 2007. She's been a finalist for like the last 7 years. So, again, in the email I sent to the committee, I said, look, horses don't run as much as these two anyway.
Right.
Maybe that we have to look at that a little different. A total amount of races that just don't race that much anymore.
Right.
And possibly, and I know a lot, almost all the committee members. Some of them I don't really know, but I know most of them, and maybe I just needed to convince a couple more to come across to get them through. And frankly, the one thing I haven't said this yet because I haven't been on the committee even a year yet, but I'm probably going to call it that runs the thing and say, you know what, they should just disband the committee. I mean, he got in with 171 voters, or 157 as it turned out, but all these years he could never get out of this committee.
Right.
I said, probably should do it like baseball. I mean, if you have, some qualifications, obviously every horse is not going to put on the ballot, but
right.
If you retired for, I think it's 5 years for a horse has been retired 5 years and has some accomplishments, and you can define that. That's not that difficult to do. Just put them on the ballot. Forget the committee, and then let people vote. I just never a big fan of the committee to start with. So I'm going to find a way to get rid of my own job there. Not that I was getting paid to do it. I was happy to do it.
I mean, look, owner, trainer, jockey, that combination, what did that mean to look, everybody knows the horse is the engine here. I got it. But that combination of owner, trainer, jockey, what did that mean, at least to the Smarty Jones operation?
Everything. About a week ago, I called up to Brian at the Hall of Fame. Look, our TV show, our producer, Bruce Casella, would like, if we can get advance notice, to go down to Florida, where Pat Chapman, Smarty's owner, lives, and have me call her on the phone and let her know what happened and have him video it. And Brian said, no problem. So it actually came out officially Thursday. Mm-hmm. He told me on Monday that he was in. So we set it up. She didn't know. She didn't know what was going to happen. He made up some excuse why he was coming down there. And then it's part of our TV show this night. I call her on the phone. I'm videoing myself while he's videoing her, and he put it together for our TV show. And it's a very cool shot. And she was so excited. Because he didn't get the ending he deserved on the racetrack because of what happened at Belmont. And then he didn't do anything about it after that because he got hurt. But this is one of those forever endings. Right? Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're in there. You're in there with Secretariat, Man of War, and all the great horses. And we did the same thing with John Service, the trainer, yesterday. Except we had Pat Chapman call him to let him know an hour before the official announcement. So, it was like the NFL guys do sometimes when they're telling the guys they're heading to the Hall of Fame. That was kind of the idea. So it worked out great. And Stu Elliott, the jockey, was also. I texted Stu. I haven't talked to him. But
okay.
He's riding down in Texas and Oklahoma now. But he's all very excited to all be there. The ceremony is August 1st. 10:30 a.m. on East Avenue, right down from the main entrance at Saratoga.
Very nice. You mentioned Stu Elliott. Now, as you chronicled this, and you chronicled it up close, what did Stu Elliott's guidance mean to the horse itself?
His ride and decision on the turn of the Kentucky Derby, Steve, pull the race up sometime. Anybody that's listening can pull it up. If you watch the race, there's one horse that's leading. There's 5 horses chasing him right across. I mean, they're literally right next to each other. And Smarty Jones is in the middle of those 5. And Stewart could have, been unaggressive and kind of dropped back. Mm-hmm. Instead, very aggressive. He pushed through the 5, got away from the other 4, and he came out of the first turn in second. He had one horse in front of him. And in horse racing, the whole key is to get the right position where your horse is comfortable, and he got him comfortable. So, he made everything. He rode great in the Preakness. There's been some criticism about the Belmont Stakes. I'm not one of those. I just think he was forced into a possible situation. I didn't have a problem with him. Because he was an unknown nationally, people say, wow, Smarty Jones can't win because it's jockey. I've said that, and I'll say it forever. It is called horse race before he races.
Yes.
Jockeys can call horses races, but they can't make slow horses race fast. You better have fast. Stewart had one, and I thought he rode him great all the way.
Friend of yours came in from Iowa. As you pointed out, she's not gone to the dark side on the other side. but she wanted to see Smarty Jones. So you went down this winter and went and saw him. How's he doing?
I actually saw him again yesterday.
Okay.
Our producer, we went out there after the announcement to go out and talk to Rodney Eckenrode. It's in Annville, not far from Coach Rhodes' alma mater, Lebanon Valley, maybe probably no more than 10-minute ride. And, yeah, he looked great. He's 24, and back when you saw him, I was with Trish Bowman, who actually grew up in Bensalem.
Yeah.
And lives in part of the year at home with her family, and then she's a steward at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. It's a track right 30 minutes outside of Indianapolis. And she became a horse racing fan, a young kid, because of Smarty Jones.
Right.
So, we went to the Northwestern game. She came up with me, and then the next day we was in Annville on the way home, and she got all kind of pictures, and that was very cool. She was very excited. So yeah, no, that was fun. But yeah, Bruce and I went back yesterday. I'll send you the YouTube link for our show this week. Yeah, he did. I just saw he did a great job with it. It's very cool.
So I guess next week we'll talk about the Kentucky Derby.
We will. Yeah, and we'll talk about our man Michael McCarthy.
Oh.
You saw us in the box next to you guys when I was hanging out on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah,
The favorite journalist.
I made sure I leaned in a few times. I want to hear what he had to say.
Yeah, it's a story. Michael lives in Altadena, Steve, and he has not been able to go back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his house is standing. Much of the neighborhood is not.
Right.
He's not sure when he's going to go back. I mean, he's fortunate because his mother's family lives out there, so they've been staying nearby. He grew up in Arcadia, right where Santa Anita is.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't know what it's going to be like. He's assuming he's going to have to throw anything that's in there out.
Yeah, smoke. Yeah.
Exactly. The damage to clothes and everything else. But yeah, he's training the Derby favorite, and he hasn't been back in his house since whenever the fires were early January.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That was just one of those keep your mouth shut, lean in, listen moments for me, because there was knowledge being thrown out there that.
He's a great guy. He's a terrific trainer. He was a top assistant to Todd Pletcher for years, and then he went back home to California a decade ago and has become one of the best on the West Coast. So, yeah, the Derby's going to be cool. You got that. You got the return of my man Bob Baffert after his 3 years suspension, which is probably about 35 months longer than it needs to be.
Oh God, yes.
That's a whole other story. It'll be fun. 20 of them, and how can you? Against the horse named journalism.
Well, naturally, it just kind of fits the show.
Realistic here. Plus, he's really fast anyway, which is always helpful.
Yeah, exactly. The key is, doesn't matter what the horse's name is it fast?
Right. Can he run past the other horses or get in front of them and never let them get by? Either one is fine, but as long as they get to the wire first.
Exactly. That'll be for next week. DJ,
yes, sir.
Thanks so much, sir.
You got it. Thanks, Steve. See you, buddy.
Dick Jerardi. We will come back more in a moment. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance on News Radio 1070.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
If you're suffering from spring fever, Sunbury Motors Kia has the cure. The Spring Fever Reliever is a new Kia from Sunbury Motors Kia. They make it easy to choose because there's 120 brand new Kias available. And $750 owner loyalty is back on the hottest selling Kia models, including the Made in the USA 2025 Kia Sportages and Serenos. Drive home in a 2025 Kia Sportage EX all-wheel drive with leather for under $30,000. Or how about the third row 2025 Kia Sereno S all-wheel drive? Save thousands now as low as $35,034. And of course, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop in today and check out the full Kia lineup. And together, we can be alive in 2025 at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see retailer or go to kia.com.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Final half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. Stock up for your blue-white tailgate right now. I mean, you may go into some of the scrimmage, but you're certainly going to want a tailgate. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, lots and lots of snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And the new ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniel's, Crown Royal. Pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury. The beverage supermarket. Phillies, I believe, and the Cubs are in a rain delay, right? I believe. That is the story there. Round 2 of the draft tonight. God, once Shedeur Sanders gets picked, what's Mel going to talk about? Asking for a friend. That's why it got to a point I went over to NFL Network. I mean, did they bring his name up? Sure, they brought his name up. But they brought his name up when it was time for people to think about, what might the Saints do? What might the Steelers do? Not with every pick. And goodness gracious. Imagine the gall of the Giants picking Jackson Dart. What gall? Ay, 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 ay. I don't know. Crazy, isn't it? Isn't it amazing you get 125,000 people to show up to watch names called? They turn it into a show, I'll say that. It is definitely a show. But, yeah. But that's essentially what they do. Yeah. What was your takeaway last night?
I went out. I was going to say I went out and about and went to Buffalo Wild Wings, so I was watching a lot of it on mute.
And the good news is we do have the king, by the way.
Ooh, so my text got through.
Oh, am I on the radio?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, well, I tried calling. There was no answer. What up?
Well, they have a little phone issue over there, so we're using my phone. You know?
Here's one of my workers, Patel.
There you go.
Oh no, he won't talk now. All right.
Now he doesn't want to talk? But I mean, Todd, I asked Todd, and Todd, I'll ask you to re-ask the question to you. What was your biggest takeaway from last night?
I did not watch a lot of last night because I was at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Not totally surprised that Sanders didn't go because I think that teams have a problem with his father. And I kind of felt that before, that if you bring him in, you're bringing his father in too. You know, that. Yeah. And if you're a head coach, you feel threatened by bringing him in because Dion wants to get in the NFL again. And I think that's an issue. So, and I was surprised that the Patriots took a down lineman.
They picked I did a mock draft on, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. It wasn't on the show, but I did a mock draft. I had Campbell going to the Patriots.
Yeah, I get it. It's probably the correct pick. I just have always been kind of like, take the best athlete out there. I think Tyler Warren should have gone in the top 5.
Oh,
I don't understand. Yeah, he's one of the best athletes in the country. Take the best athlete. Take the guy who's going to start. Take the guy. I don't understand what the Giants did. That made no sense to me, because you've got a general manager and a head coach that are on the hot seat. So you're bringing in a young quarterback that you don't really know if the coach and the general manager are going to be there next year. You know,
I take the opposite approach there. I think they did it the right way.
Really?
Yes. First of all, they weren't lured by taking a quarterback at 3. They took the best player on the board at 3.
Yeah.
Right? So now, once you've done that, now you can play a little game with what you want to do at 2. So instead of doing 34, because they would have the second pick tonight, their concern was that maybe Cleveland, because there was nobody else left that was going to pick, was going to take quarterback. The concern was, would somebody move up, especially Cleveland, to take the guy they wanted in Dart? And again, I watched a lot of Dart video to get ready for the Peach Bowl. I saw Dart play in person. He is a really good quarterback in a lot of ways. He checks way more boxes for me. Now, I never saw Sanders play in person. I can only talk about Sanders based on what I've seen off of TV. Dart, I have not just video, but I saw Dart play in person. There's a lot of things about Dart I really, really like. And they didn't waste 3 on the quarterback. They did it at 25, and they really didn't give up a lot to do it. I mean, they did what the Houston Texans did. Took Stroud, and they took Will Anderson. I mean, that's the defensive disruptor and the quarterback, and the Giants did the same thing. And have the luxury of Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston both being there, where Dart doesn't have to play right away, just like Kurt Warner was there when Eli Manning didn't have to play right away.
Well, the stuff I'm saying isn't coming directly from me. I watch listen to a lot of sports talk and watch a lot of sports talk. And Chris Canty is.
Yeah, sure. Yep, played for the Patriots.
Yeah. Right? No, I played for the Giants.
Or played for the Giants, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl with the Giants. But and he played with the Cowboys, and he's on a show called Unsportsmanlike. It's very good stuff. And he is a huge Giant fan, and he's the one who got me thinking the way I'm thinking. He said, it is very difficult for a young quarterback to come into the league to a team that's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
They don't think that Russell Wilson's going to make it through the season with the Giants because they just don't have enough talent.
Right.
And
but that's why they have Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's there, too.
Well, exactly. But if he doesn't perform, are you going to put this young quarterback in and destroy him? And then by the end of the season, they have a new head coach and a new general manager who did not pick Dart as a quarterback. And is he going to be another casualty like Lawrence down in Jacksonville? And that was his thought, that it's not a good situation to bring him in. And they think that Mara is the one who made the call, that Mara wanted a franchise quarterback to come in.
Well,
now they're in Green Bay, they're in the rooms, talking to other people. So
at three, I don't pick Dart. At 25, I do. And so that to me makes sense. I think that the scenario that if it plays out is you get to that you have Wilson, he may get banged up, you have Winston, right? And if you can negotiate the season with two guys like that and get to week 17, then you start Dart in week 17, just like a guy that started the final game of his rookie season in his first and only appearance, a guy named Patrick Mahomes. They waited till week 16 to play him instead of Alex Smith. Saw what they liked and felt it was time to go in that direction.
Well, I hope so, being a Giant fan. So I think, again, I'm not surprised with Sanders' drop because he comes with baggage, and he comes in with gold chains and lots of money, and the general feeling is Sanders rubbed people the wrong way.
So supposedly he did not interview well. And it's not as if he doesn't have game smarts. He does. It's not as if he's not. It's not as if he's not tough, because he took a beating in 2 years at Colorado and kept getting up, and he's tough. It's not as if he's not accurate. He is. The problem is that his 72% completion percentage is bolstered by the fact that 73.6% of his passes were thrown 10 yards or less. So there's a lot of dump-offs in there. Right? The problem with him, with Sanders, comes in a couple of areas. One, his deep ball. A lot of times his receivers had to come back to get it. He doesn't throw the ball as far as people think. Two, we talk about Dart. Dart's a very good runner. I mean, very underrated part of his game. He's a very good runner. Sanders, despite his last name, is not. And also, he gets to, when he has time in the pocket, he processes very well. But he also bails on the pocket too fast, and when he does that, he does not process well. So, I mean, those are just basic quarterback things that have nothing to do with his last name at all. I'm just telling you what I see.
All right. Well, you yet. You're seeing what other people did because, I mean, he'll go, I don't know when he'll go. I mean, and a lot of it's got to do with need, too.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Not every team needs a quarterback, you know, so they're passing on him because they don't need him. But that doesn't mean he's a bad football player. But, I mean, only 2 quarterbacks were taken at that. So it's not like that big of a deal. But I'm surprised Tyler Warren stayed on the board as long as he did. Yeah, he did very good at 14. So.
Yeah, well, no, he ended up at a team, I think, like I said, he'll fall no further than the Colts. He's Dallas Clark. That's who he is. He's Dallas Clark. Now, the difference is Dallas Clark had Peyton Manning.
He's got Richardson.
He's got Richardson. He's got Daniel Jones. And that's, that's what he'll deal with. But this is a team that had an absolute tight end need because they already have Michael Pittman on the outside. The receiver they got from the University of Cincinnati a couple of years ago is also really good as well. And the difference is Richardson's a lot like Jalen Milroe of Alabama. We always talk about there's a big difference between a pitcher and a thrower. Okay?
You're right.
Well, there's a big difference between a thrower and a quarterback. Richardson's a thrower. He's not there to being a quarterback yet. Milroe is a thrower. Great athlete, by the way. Okay? But, yeah. I mean, that's how I view it. And then I think tonight, starting the middle of the second round tonight, Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton have been picked. About the middle of the second round tonight, I think there are going to be a couple of running backs picked, and when that happens, watch the run. There's going to be a big run on running backs tonight.
Really?
Yep.
Now, both Penn State guys are staying in school.
Penn State, yeah. Allen and Singleton are both here.
You're right.
I mean, that's,
Now, I heard that the backup quarterback is in the draft. Allard?
No, Allard's the starting quarterback for Penn State.
No, who's the backup?
No. Penn State does not have a backup quarterback in the draft. You're thinking about Bo Pribula. Bo went in the transfer portal, and he's going to be probably the starter at Missouri.
Oh, okay.
In other words, if Drew had gone into the draft, in all likelihood, Bo would have stayed. But because Drew decided to stay at Penn State, Bo went into the transfer portal because they're only separated by 1 year on their clock, and because they're only separated because they came in the same time and Bo redshirted. Bo thought it would be best for him to be a 2-year starter someplace instead of potentially being a 1-year starter.
Is it true that Michigan paid $11 million for a high school quarterback?
12. 12. Huh? 12.
Oh, so it's not true. 11 is 12 million.
Yeah.
Is Penn State paying Allen?
Oh, everybody's getting money right now, Kev. Everybody. In fact,
no, I know. I'm just curious of how.
They don't
have to come out.
Drew is not getting that kind of money, but everybody operates in their own way. Drew is. There's no doubt Drew Allar's getting money, but Drew's not driven by money. In other words, that's not what makes him tick. He just wants to play, win, get better, wants Penn State to do really well. That's just how he is. But it's not as if he's taking a vow of poverty either. But that's not a big driver for him. Same thing with his family. I mean, his parents are very much like that as well. But I mean, and look, it's starting July 1, when each school has to pay $20.5 million to athletes, probably 75 to 80% of that will go to football players. Everybody's going to be getting money.
Right. I'm just. It makes the draft more interesting. Especially for the kid who is getting money now, and he can give his mom and dad some money, and he can do this or that. He doesn't necessarily have to turn pro too early. He can sit another year in college, and financially he's able to, make a few people happy at the same time, which makes his decision to stay in college easier.
Right. Right. And I gave a speech to a group about 3 weeks ago, and there's about 300 people there. And in the speech, I said, let me start this out by asking you this question. How many of you in this room, and it was like a middle to older age crowd, I said, how many people in this room pine for the old days when players stayed 4 years? And every hand, as you can imagine, went up, right? Okay. And I said, okay. I said, Drew Aller, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Shelton, Venga Ioane, Nick Dawkins, Khalil Dinkins, Denai Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, Zakee Wheatley. I said, because of NIL collective money, they're all back for their fourth year. You got your wish.
All right. I think, if the glass is half full, half empty on it. It's actually good for the kids. It's good for their families. It's good. Is it changing the sport? Is it turning college basketball and football especially into a minor league,
sure,
semi-pro league?
Right.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, they're basing their decisions now on money. And who are we to say no? I was good enough. Nobody would pay me to do anything. But I would take the money. And wasn't it Kyler Murray at USC stayed an extra year because he said I'm making more money in here in college than I would in the NFL?
Caleb Williams.
So, Caleb Williams. Yep. I'm sorry. Yeah, he stayed an extra year. And then did Reggie Bush get his Heisman back?
He did, and he should have.
Yeah. He didn't do anything. What? His mom got a condo. I mean,
especially when Jordan Addison left Pitt and went to USC to play, and the story was, and again, you don't know what's true, false, whatever. The story was that part of it was that there was a house involved. Well, gee, if that's okay now, what about Reggie Bush?
Well, it's like if you got arrested for smoking pot 20 years ago, well, now you got a clean record. It's like, it's okay now. So,
yeah,
you can't have it both ways. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting today. And then the most interesting thing is who's going to be the Brock Purdy or the Tom Brady? Who's that one player out there that is, like, wow, no one saw that coming. So,
that's a really good question. I don't know. I just know that tonight, this is the value I put tonight. The value is going to be in KJ Winston of Penn State, who only played 5 quarters last season. So, he's been, under the radar. After surgery, and I was there when he ran it, he ran a 4.540. Now, his best has been in the upper 4.3s to 4.42, right? Like 4.37 to 4.42. Well, he ran 4.5. This is after surgery. That was impressive. He'll get picked tonight. Jalen Reed, safety. Penn State's other safety, Jalen Reed, he'll get picked tonight. He's going to come into he may be a third-round pick, but he's going to come into some organization. He's automatically going to be the smartest guy in the secondary. He's the guy that, like the brains of the operation back there.
Was he number one?
No. He wore number 1. Winston wore number 2, but Winston only played 5 quarters. Travion Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, right? The other Ohio State guys, okay, Sawyer, the defensive end, and JT Tuileamalo, all right, the 2 defensive ends. There's going to be great value in getting either one of those guys. At some point, Jay Higgins of Iowa is going to go. The tackle Ersley from Minnesota, right, really was impressed with him. I thought he gave Abdul Carter Carter was uncontrollable by everybody, including Ohio State, uncontrollable by Oregon, uncontrollable by Notre Dame, uncontrollable when he was out there against Boise State. But Ersley did, for Minnesota, did as good a job on him as anybody I saw all year. I was impressed by that. He's a guy to take a long, hard look at in this draft. Then you're going to start getting the name quarterbacks out there. It's not just Shador, it's Shuck of Louisville. It's going to be, when is Will Howard of Ohio State going to go? When is Dylan Gabriel of Oregon going to go? I think I mentioned Riley Leonard of Notre Dame. That's, I'll tell you, the defensive tackle for Notre Dame, Riley Mills, terrific player, and Xavier Watts, the safety, is going to be in the NFL for a long time. There's so much value left out there, it's amazing.
Yeah, which surprises me why a team like the Patriots took a offensive lineman. I would go for the guy who is going to be a superstar right away. I've got a quarterback that doesn't have weapons. And I watched Tyler Warren play. Jerome Wiggins, Wiggy, on the station I listened to in Boston, he was a tight end.
Yep.
He was emphatic that they should take Tyler Warren.
Yep.
He said he's the best player out there. Or he was, not the best, but you know what I'm saying. He was a top 10 guy.
Yep.
And the Patriots had a number 4 pick. Take the best athlete out there, and they go.